Why did you publicly claim following your nomination that you were never in a room with him after 2005?
So I voluntarily agreed in less than 2 weeks to sit with your colleagues in the House and answer any and all questions on this topic.
This hearing moment highlights why accountability matters.
First, before I begin my question, I just want to say that it's great to hear that you, Mr. Secretary, and the Trump administration is continuing the great investments that were made into our domestic chips manufacturing, started by the Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration, whether it's TSMC, Micron, Texas Instruments, billions were invested during the Biden administration. And I was grateful as a New Yorker to see the investments in Micron in my home and your home state of New York. We were so thrilled to welcome President Joe Biden to announce them during his administration. But I do want to start, Mr. Secretary. I mentioned in my opening statement that we had learned in recent months that, contrary to your earlier statement in which you suggested that you had cut off all contact with Epstein in '05, you and your family had in fact had lunch with Mr. Epstein on a boat during a trip to his private island in 2012 and exchanged business emails with him as recently as 2018. This was years after his 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor. I just wanted to ask, why did you publicly claim following your nomination that you were never in a room with him after 2005?
So I voluntarily agreed in less than 2 weeks to sit with your colleagues in the House and answer any and all questions on this topic. I have nothing to hide, and I am glad to answer their questions. Whatever questions you have on this topic, I will be glad to answer. It's in less than 2 weeks, and we've set aside the time to do that, and I will answer all the questions. So whatever questions you have, if you would give them to your colleagues, I will answer them. But today, I am here to testify about the budget. I've set aside voluntarily the time to answer those questions in less than 2 weeks. So today, I am here to testify about the budget.
No, I appreciate that, and we'll definitely make sure that that message and offer is emphasized. When Senator Van Hollen in February asked if you would be willing to sharing records that you have, you told him that you would surely talk about that. You had nothing to hide. What, if anything, have you done since that hearing to ensure that you are sharing all of your records? Yeah.
I've set aside in less than 2 weeks the time that your House colleagues want to have me answer these questions. I am here to testify about the budget, but I have set aside voluntarily the time to answer these questions. And as you correctly have said, I have nothing to hide.
Okay. I just, why I'm asking is because our American public deserves honesty and accountability from those of us who have the privilege of holding public office. This is a budget hearing, but it's also about our American taxpayers' money. The survivors of Epstein and his associates' horrific crimes deserve so much better from this government. I do want to use the rest of my time to ask about the Gold Card Visa program. President Trump directed you, in coordination with the Secretary of State and Homeland, to establish a Gold Card Visa program. As you know, people who are able to pay at least $1 million into Commerce's gift account are eligible for permanent legal residence and potentially citizenship. I wanted to ask how many of these applications have been approved and how many gifts have been received by Commerce?
The process was recently resolved with DHS, who runs the program, and they do a $15,000, the most serious vetting and analysis of any potential applicant in the history of government. Usually it was $600. These pay $15,000 for an extraordinary vet. So they have approved recently one person, and there are hundreds in the queue that they are going through the process. But this is a new program, and they've just set it up, and they wanted to make sure they did it perfectly. And so we've worked through that. But it's a DHS program done with a rigorous vetting.
And do you know how the department would intend to spend the billions of dollars in the gift account?
That will be determined by the administration, and its terms are for the betterment of the United States of America. It needs to be for commerce and the betterment of the United States of America.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
When a public official gives information that later appears incomplete or inconsistent, it raises a broader concern about trust. In democratic systems, credibility is everything. Lawmakers rely on accurate disclosures to make informed decisions, and the public depends on those same disclosures to maintain confidence in their institutions. So when Representative Meng presses on why earlier claims don't align with newer revelations, she's tapping into a larger principle. Accountability doesn't operate on a delay. Promises to clarify things in 2 weeks may be procedurally acceptable, but they can feel insufficient in moments where immediate clarity is expected. Another important layer here is how the questioning ties personal conduct to public duty. Even though the hearing is technically about the budget, the line of questioning suggests that ethical concerns don't exist in a vacuum. Decisions about public funds, economic programs, and national priorities are all influenced by the integrity of the people making them. That's why the mention of Epstein's victims carries weight. It shifts the conversation from procedural answers to moral responsibility, reminding viewers that these discussions have real-world implications beyond policy.